Welcome to the Gabfocus Self Storage Podcast, where we talk about all things self-storage, focusing on operations and best practices for the owner-operator and the manager. I'm Josh.
I'm Melissa, and today you can see us.
Yeah, so if you are listening to the podcast, there is a link below to watch the live video of this over on our YouTube channel. And this is something we're going to be doing throughout 2026 and hopefully beyond. So if you're like, I don't want to see their faces, then you can just listen to the podcast. But if you're like, I wonder what they actually look like, then you can see the video. And if you're watching the video, you'll notice we have two very different backgrounds. And why is that, Melissa?
I'm at home. I am in our home office in Chattanooga. Where are you?
I am in Texas. Just north of Dallas in a town called Denton, and I'm working for some clients, working for Elevate, doing some drone photography, and for Kane Shoemaker with his property up in Gunter that he is just opening. So we're helping out with his website and doing some photography. And we thought, since we're both remote, why don't we try out our new format for 2026 and do some video? So, and that's something you're going to notice a lot this year is more guests and more topics that kind of dive back into the fundamentals, because we're 163, 164 episodes into this, and we're gonna, I know, right? So we're going to go back to some of the earlier topics and revisit them, because believe it or not, some things have changed since 2022 and 2023, like no more COVID. So some of the marketing practices are a little different now. But yeah, so one of the topics that we're going to talk about in just a little bit is third-party management. And this is one that we haven't actually talked about on the podcast yet, at least kind of the pros, cons, benefits, when you should choose it, all that kind of a thing. And we thought it would be appropriate because it has something to do with our big announcement that's coming next week. So, Melissa, where are we right now as people are, if they're catching this the day that it releases, where are we right now?
We are in the middle of the ocean, floating on top of the middle of the ocean.
Yes, not just on the life.
Caribbean.
We'll be on our cruise. So that we get to finally use the out of office email. And so, but then on the 19th of January, the Monday we get back, we're planning on a big announcement. Many of you have been asking, what's the thing? What's going on? So it'll finally be revealed. And just a little teaser, it does have something to do with today's topic of third-party management.
In the middle of all these changes and everything, and talking about big announcements and everything, there was a huge change for me today. The Tennessee and the Louisiana associations, I've been running those for a number of years.
Right.
Those emails no longer come to me, which is really weird. Those have all been transferred.
That's a big landmark event.
That is a huge landmark event. So, very, very weird to be in these final stages of transferring everything over to Shelly. Everything's going really smooth. I'm really excited about it. It's just really strange too, I'm not going to get these emails. I'm sending that email out to everybody saying, hey, just so you know, Shelly's the new director. Here's her contact information. And it's just really a little odd, but totally a end of an era. So
that's crazy to think that, because that's 10 plus years now, right? That you've been doing that.
11 with Tennessee and 6 with Louisiana. Yeah.
Gee, wow.
Yep.
So before we get into our topic, it's been a bit. How was your Christmas? How was New Year's? Anything fun? Is the decorations still up?
They are. Immediately after this podcast, the desantification process is starting. Sad
times.
Yeah, got to put it all away, and gonna make the kid unwrap the lights from the tree and all that kind of stuff. Since you're gone, you get out of that.
Make sure he puts them away correctly. Okay, yeah, he'll get it, I'm sure. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So let's start with defining what is third-party management. And then I think maybe a good place to start would be, what are some common problems, even that we see with some of our clients, that leads them to think, maybe it's time to bring in somebody else to manage this property for me. So what is when we talk about third party management or 3PM, what is that?
Well, that is actually when a third party, someone other than you yourself as the owner, comes in and takes over that day-to-day business. And that can look, hi, Teddy, that can look a couple different ways depending on the third party management group that you go with and what your preferences are as an owner. There are plenty of owners that stay really super involved in the day-to-day business. And then there's others that are like, I don't want this anymore. I just want the check in the mail and it's all yours. So, and there's a variety of in between. So, it can really look a bunch of different ways depending on who you partner with. So,
Yeah. Okay.
but yeah, like right now I'm working with a client that, they're building their facility. And so they're kind of in that in between stage of trying to figure out what they actually want operations to look like once the doors are open. And so one thing that we've been doing is doing demos with different third-party management groups, demos with software, demos with call centers, just to kind of get an idea of, is this something I actually want to run on my own? So, and be in that day to day, or is this something where I just need a little bit of call center help, or it's something completely different and I don't really want to deal with it at all. I'm just here for the final main decisions. So, but big questions.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of companies out there that do this. So no matter really your size or how you manage your particular operation, there is a third party management company out there that kind of specializes in that. And it could be, if you're fully remote, if you have a property that only has 100 doors and they're all drive up in a rural, if you have one of those beautiful 3 or 4 story class A's in the middle of a downtown area, there's groups that manage that. If you have an on-site manager or no manager, or if it's hub and spoke, there's companies that do all shapes and sizes of that. And so let's kind of put that aside. Just assume that no matter what your operation is, there is a good fit out there for you if you decide to go that route. So what are some of the pain points maybe that we have heard that you've experienced that might make people think, I'm going to throw in the towel and I'm doing this myself. I need somebody else to manage this.
So one common one that I see is the owner that's kind of been in place for a number of years and they've been running things and it's all been going fine, but now occupancy's dipped or delinquencies are up, or I've got new competition that came into town. I know I need to up my game, but that just seems really overwhelming and technology's not my thing. I don't want to do it. Or maybe my staff is just, it's just more, it would cause more stress than, benefit. And so, sometimes just having a third party come in and just say, we can bring you up to speed. We can get you to the level that you need to be able to compete with, your new competition, or just to up your game. Sometimes that's just, it kind of coincides. I see a lot with like, I'm kind of phasing out looking for retirement here. And now you're wanting me to bring in new technology. And that just seems like something I just don't want to do. So that's usually a good trigger for, well, then let's truly just bring in a third party to handle that.
Is that, does that come from like new competition moving into the area, or is it just a matter of like everybody is kind of up in their game with technology and maybe you're just like, I know that I need to move away from the spreadsheet or the pen and paper, but I just don't want to? Or is it a combination?
I think it can be both. It can also be maybe I'm prepping my facility because I know within the next 5 to 7 years, I may want to look at selling this. And I want to get the most value that I can because right now I'm kind of under managing everything because I don't have the technology. I don't have the web presence I'm looking for. I don't have, some of those bells and whistles that are really attractive to bringing in new tenants. So, to make yourself more, so everyone, when they sell their business, they always want to get, the most value for it. So, you can either sell it low and let the new buyer come in and drop a little bit of money and then bam, they've made, they've increased the value overnight, or you can do that and take advantage of it when you sell it. And
Right.
so sometimes when you're able to think, okay, I know I'm getting close to retirement and maybe my kids don't want this, or, this is just kind of getting a little out of hand and I just want to get rid of it one day. Doing a third party management kind of helps shore everything up, make sure everything's running the way it's supposed to, and makes it a lot more attractive for potential buyer.
Yeah. I think we've also run into several people, especially, I guess maybe less now than before, but that we're just looking at as an investment property. I just want to throw some money, but I have no clue how to run self-storage. Maybe they bought it thinking it was just like other commercial real estate or just like an apartment complex. And then, those of you listening, you've been in the industry, so you kind of know it's more complicated than that. It's a little bit different.
Mhm.
And so that's also, I think, a group that we've come in contact with a lot that are like, they really have no clue how to run it. And rather than learning everything from scratch, they have other things to do. They have other properties that they want to buy.
Mhm.
And so they will, and I think you got called yesterday from another group to go out and check out some properties. And that's what they do. They buy third party or self-storage and then immediately turn it over to third party management.
Mhm.
So that's, I
Yeah.
think, another common thing. Do you see a lot of people looking for the golden parachute, kind of like I just want to, I don't want to give it up, but I'm ready to retire. I want to go live on the beach.
Yeah,
You see
I
that a
think
lot?
I think that's a perfect candidate for third party management. If, as that owner, you are willing and able to actually turn over the reins to the third party management group. Um, and that is a thing that most third party management groups, if they're going to come in, they already have their systems in place, right? They don't need a situation where an owner is going to be just, in their ear constantly, you need to do this way. I want to do this way.
Yeah.
Because they have a process, and and it's a tried and true process. I know what I'm doing. You've hired me to do this. I need you to trust me to do it. And so sometimes I do see that when I see there's friction with owners and third party management, it's usually because um, sometimes the owner is trying to take back the reins that they've already given over to the third party. And if you've got a good relationship with your third party management, you're still in control. You just need to be able to let them actually run the day to day.
Yeah.
I think it gets a little hairy when the owner's like, "Oh, well, now if you have a problem with that, give me a call. Oh, I'll take care of that customer. Oh, you're interfering with some of the day to day processes, and that gets a little in the weeds, and that makes it hard for the third party management to truly be successful and to do what you're paying them to do. Um, so in that kind of situation, sometimes it's better for maybe you just need a really robust call center because you really want to maintain that control of your day to day. You don't want anyone else making daily decisions. Maybe you just need help answering the phone. But if you're like, you know what? I want to go to the beach and sip margaritas for the, the next 10,
Yeah.
15 years, then get a third party management company. And, you can get that more mailbox money type situation, and you're still in the loop. A good third party management company is going to give you the reporting each month or quarter to bring you up to speed and let you know how your property's always functioning. So you're still in the know and you're still absolutely in control. You just got to take the hands off the day-to-day stuff. So
Yeah.
you got to ask yourself how you
So
want your business actually run.
yeah, and I think when you're talking about what do you look for in a third party management company, I think a very broad kind of umbrella is I want a company that's going to run it how I would run it.
Mhm.
That's going to have the same kind of work ethic and customer service and all those kinds of things. But that could be a ton of different things. And I think everybody kind of says that, but that looks different. So if, let's say, hypothetically, you owned a storage property, and no, that's not the news. Okay, we don't own any storage properties. But let's say hypothetically you owned a storage property and you were interviewing third party management groups to run it for you. What are
Mhm.
some of the good questions to ask to see, okay, do you handle A, B, and C? So what are the kinds of questions? Because you used to, our last, 2 companies ago, we did third party management, and we
Hmm.
got asked those questions all the time. So what are those
Yeah.
things that you would ask?
Well, one would be payroll, like how the employees are handled. Like, do you employ the employees or does the facility employ the employees? And who manages that type? Who manages the HR side of things? Who does the hiring and firing? Those are big questions. Um, Also how they handle their things like rate increases, tenant insurance, all those pieces of your business, especially the revenue drawing ones. How do they handle it? How do they roll that out to the tenants? When there's a change, how is that communicated? Do they communicate the same way you do? And depending on your market, one third party management company may be great and another may be awful, just because this particular market, this is the type of management that we need. So that question, it's not just a one size fits all, and we've said that about so many different things in our industry.
Yeah.
There's not a one size fits all for software. There's not a one size fits all for third party management. Um, you need to click on a personal level with your third party management group. Who are you going to be? Who's your point person at that management group? And do you actually click? Because this is the person that I am putting my faith in that's going to run my business the way I would run my business. If I can't get along with you on a personal note, we're going to have problems from day one. Maybe it's
Yeah.
you have a crappy attitude, or it takes you forever to respond to emails, or, I feel like I'm just passed down the line. That's probably not someone you want to run your business. So, making sure that you jive with that person personally is a good, who am I going to be able to reach out to if there's a problem? Is there a point
Right.
of contact, or is it just you've got to, wait online for support and just hope that someone answers that is going to be helpful? So those types
Mhm.
of questions too. And like I said earlier, taking your market into account. If you're in a small rural town in Northeast Tennessee and, there's 5 mom and pops in town, bringing CubeSmart in to do your third party management might not, sit the best with your country folk, right? So choose one that's going to work well with you, and that's going to feel like how you truly want your business to look. Because at the end of the day, especially if you live near your facility, you're still the owner. And everyone still knows that.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of answering for how my business looks and presents itself. And you've got to make sure that who is on the other side of that is actually what you want it to look like.
Yeah, and I think related to the market is making sure that the company has done business around where you're located. So like for instance, if you're in North Carolina, you're probably not going to call West Coast Storage to manage a property, and they may be
Mhm.
wanting to expand to the East Coast. But do you want to be the first property that they kind of figure that out with? And same like if you're in Sacramento, California, are you going to call All Purpose Storage, which is a great company, but they're all in the Northeast. They have properties in Maine and New Hampshire and Connecticut. Do you want to be the first property that is in a different climate,
Mhm.
different clientele, all that? So make sure you kind of ask those questions. And similar to what you would be doing with a new property management software, ask for references. Like who else have you managed that is a similar
Yeah.
facility to mine in a similar area? Can I get some testimonials? Can I get some feedback? Because you may find a group that's kind of just starting out that really fits you well and you trust them,
Mhm.
but you may not want to be on the bleeding edge of them trying out new systems and softwares. So ask
Mhm.
those questions. Be comfortable with that. You do not want surprises when you move in. I
Yeah.
think you hit a really key thing with that.
Well, and that also brings up another good point. You're talking about the systems they use, because a lot of most of the third party management companies, they have a preferred software. They have a preferred way of doing business. And so a lot of them also utilize kind of an in house call center type answering system, if they have multiple locations. And so it's very helpful if all of their locations are on one particular software, so that you don't have employees trying to learn a million different things, because there's so many software options out there. And I'm just using software as the example. Um, if you're set on, I like this software system. I am not going to change anything. This is exactly how business is set up today, is how I'm going to stay. You're going to have to find a third party management company that's okay with that before anything.
Right. Yeah.
And depending on what technology you do use already and what you are tied to, that's going to narrow your field down quite a bit.
Hmm.
Just because logistically they have third party management groups already have systems in place. And while some things can be customized to the individual owner, some things also just have to kind of run on a more seamless basis. So it helps to have that repetitive stuff set up already.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And those are all questions about onboarding. If you go with a group that
Mhm.
they are exclusive to SiteLink or exclusive to Cubby, if you as an independent person were to do a software conversion, there would be an onboarding fee. Does your third party management company, is that part of their onboarding fee that they're going to
Right.
transition your software over? Or is that in addition
Mhm.
to that? You may have keypads. Like I know a lot of our ESS customers, they have the PDK keypads. And if you're
Mhm.
going with a management company that uses a different software, not only does that mean a software change, that means you got to change all of your keypads, which means you may need to change your gates. So not that that should be a
Mhm.
deterrent, but it's all just kind of factored into counting the cost of what
Oh,
is it
yeah.
actually going to be worth to make that change. So,
Well,
all
and
good questions.
while something like, it shouldn't be a deterrent, while something like a software change isn't always easy, if that third party management company is coming in and they say, hey, we only run SiteLink, they're going to go through that changeover process. Like that's going to be part of
Yeah.
the onboarding with that third party management group. So it's not something you have to do in order to prepare yourself to be managed by any particular group. Once you nail down the group, they will say, okay, these are the things that we want set up for you. And we're actually part of that onboarding fee is we're going to do that. Um, and a lot of times, like I mentioned at the very beginning, a lot of times one of the reasons why people choose third party is because they need to make some technology changes anyway, and it's a very daunting task. So software changes is naturally one of those technologies that can be easily upgraded, and a third party management group can do that.
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to if you're thinking about this, and I heard this, I've been editing podcasts for other companies, so I'll steal this from Megan Smith over at Atomic. A lot of things that they hear from their customers is they can't compete in their markets, and so
Mhm.
the option is basically either I can sell my property or I need another group to manage this because on my own
Right.
I can't compete. And so if that's something that you're finding yourself in, maybe you got one of those loans that's coming due and you have to get a certain level of occupancy, and no matter how much you try the Google ads, you try all the specials, it's just not working. Going with a company that has experience with that rather than selling, or like you said earlier,
Mhm.
Melissa, maybe to get you ready to sell to get more bang for your buck, that could be a good choice for
Mhm.
you to think about.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to think what we haven't covered with there's so much to think about. So but maybe if someone is on is there a quick hit list of pros and cons? Like, are there any instances where you're like, third party management is not the answer? Like, you either need to figure this out on your own, or maybe you need to think about selling.
Yeah. So I would say, first of all, it's not always the answer. Third party management is not always the answer. It could be because you're too small and the minimums that they would have to charge you in order to run your facility, you would have nothing left at the end of the month. What's the point?
Right.
There are other options for you. Like I said before, a really robust call center may be all you need. There are plenty of other ways through technology today that you can give yourself relief as the on-site owner, operator, manager who's been wearing all the hats this whole time and you're like, I'm just done. I'm burned out. I don't want to do this anymore. My one manager that I had has retired or quit or, had to move on and I'm stuck holding the bag and I just don't want to do this. There are solutions, even if it's a small operation, where you might not have to do third party management. So I would challenge you to think outside of the box on that. I've totally lost my train of thought. I don't even know what your actual question was at this point.
What's a circumstance where you wouldn't recommend third party management, where you would say either you need to figure it out on your own, or maybe like what we do, like bring in a consultant that can partner with you, or maybe you should just sell it because this is not
Yeah.
working for you.
Okay. So, I think one would be, if you are size requirement, it just doesn't make financial sense to do.
Right.
Another could be if you truly I can't turn those reins over. I want to know exactly how many rentals I had today. Why did you give that discount? And not that those are bad questions, but if you can't let go of those things on a daily basis, third-party management's not for you. That's not the solution. Third-party management works better when you can say, I found someone I trust, and I'm going to watch everything. I can see all their reports. I can, keep up on what's going on. You have access to the system, so you can run those numbers whenever you want. And you know how the operation should go and what it should look like. So if you're keeping eyes on things, you know if there's a problem.
Yeah.
I think the hazard sometimes is the lack of oversight that some owners do have for their third party management, and they just assume someone else is doing it, so it's all good. I would challenge the opposite. I would say you need to watch what's going on. It's still yours, and if it's your investment or if it's your family's, that you're leaving to your kids, you want to make sure that it's running well, and that's back on your responsibility. You've just got to let the day to day be handled by the third party.
Yeah, and I think that's where the benefits of a consultant coming in on either side of it could be really helpful. Calling them in either at the front end of considering it to, hey, give me your 2 cents on how my business is running. Do you think third party management is what we need, or do we just need a couple tweaks? Or maybe you could come in and just kind of partner with us for a while, do some training, just kind of hold our hand, get us going. But also on the opposite side, like you said, holding them accountable. If you are being, if you do a third party management company running things, do you know what they're doing? Do you know how they're managing your books? How they're, are move outs steady? Are move ins steady? How's all that stuff running?
And that's a good spot for a consultant to be used. If you, whether it's a time commitment that like, I can't keep eyes on this as much as I'd like to. I kind of have just turned this over to third party and I hope it's doing what it's supposed to do. And you need a consultant, that's a good thing for a consultant to be able to do. I've done that a number of times with clients that say, I just want a fresh set of eyes to come in and tell me what you think about my property and how the operations are going. And, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's, okay, you need to improve on a few things. And so as a consultant, I can give questions to owners so that they can go back to the third party management group and say, hey, can you explain this? Not that there's actually anything wrong, but giving them some questions to ask is sometimes helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've covered a lot of this. So, if you have other questions or other thoughts about third-party management, or even how a consultant could help on the front end or the back end, please feel free to reach out to us. Always happy to do that. We'll have contact information. It's on the website. You can just check it out, lighthousestorage-solutions.com. But as we wrap up, any recommendations, Melissa, as we are sailing away on our cruise ship at all? You got something? I have one, but I
get a storage unit for your Christmas decorations.
Offsite storage for Christmas. Yes,
exactly. I use mine frequently,
especially if you have. How many bins do we have? If we have like a dozen or more bins?
No, it's more than that. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
so
it's a good use for it. Yeah.
What is your recommendation?
My recommendation is I just found this really good peach bitters for my old fashions. I've been kind of stuck on the orange bitters for a while, but if you're an old fashioned person, I highly recommend Sweeten's Cove Bourbon. Excellent stuff. And also the peach bitters are kind of fun. But even broader than that recommendation, I'm going to recommend, if you guys want to be the first to know about the big news, go to our website, lighthousestoragesolutions.com, and sign up for our newsletter. There's a little contact form on the bottom.
Yep.
We can add you to that distribution list, but keep your eyes peeled on LinkedIn and on our website, different places. We're excited to share. Finally, it's been many months in the process of getting this thing ready.
Yeah.
So,
And then
are you excited, Melissa?
and then the next podcast is the last week of January, and Tommy's joining us for that one because Storage Pug has some exciting announcements as well. And then we have a few special guests. So that's going to be a great podcast. So be sure you tune in for that one. So
yeah, we have Travis from MSM, which if you saw his post a couple weeks ago about Drone Day, we got to film some drone footage from the show that's coming in November. And then, like you said, a mystery. Yeah, another mystery guest on the podcast that's related to our big announcement. So all right.
So speaking about the show, though, wait, I've got to say it. Speaking about the show, that was the coolest venue, and I can't believe it's so close to us, and I'd never actually seen it. But when we were, it's what is it? The Georgia
World Congress Center, I think, or
World Congress Center,
something like that.
It's right next to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is incredible. I've not been inside. I haven't gone to a game, but to see it from the street view is pretty cool. So and register for the show.
We'll have a lot of info. Yeah, and we'll have a special kind of code that you can use if you hear from us that just kind of links you up with Lighthouse and lets them know kind of where you heard about the show. And he'll have a ton more information. There's some really cool stuff that is very attendee friendly, that's very exhibitor friendly, that I think is going to make you want to think hard about going to this one for a national show.
Go register today.
Yeah. All right, Melissa, I think that's it for our first video broadcast.
Yeah.
Hopefully it went okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Bye, y'all.